100% action. Let's talk.
Let's talk.
Let's go back to a topic.
I'm fired up again today. Can you tell?
You are fired up.
I'm fired up, man.
How much coffee did you have?
I only had 4 pots of coffee today. That was
nice.
I had a couple cups of coffee. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, fired up. I'm really fired up today because we're talking about a topic that we've talked about before, and we talked about it much lower than I'm talking right now. And basically what we talked about was we talked about time frames and closings on short sales. You want to repeat that for those that didn't catch what I said?
We're talking about a topic that we've talked about a couple of times in the past, but it's one that keeps coming up and we want to make sure it's clear on it, and that is time frames and contracts as they relate to the contracts.
Yeah, and can we add to this? You know, I just thought of this. You know, once in a while I have a thing happen, I spark a couple brain cells, and I just thought, can we add to this also the conditions of the approval letter and the offer that's written, how these intertwine, timing, the conditions, so on and so forth. You want to try that off the cuff?
Yeah.
Unedited?
Let's talk about it. Unedited. Everything's unedited.
I know.
What are you talking about?
Crazy. Unscripted?
Unscripted.
So let's talk about this. We get an offer on the property, right? We have a short sale. Buyer writes an offer, says they want to close in 30 days. They want a home warranty. They want the seller to pay for termite. They want the seller to do, put in a new pool. They want, I want all these ridiculous things, right? And the seller says, well, if I sign this, if I'm the seller, do I have to do this? Well, no. Do you want to counter this back? Whatever. So we get down to the point where the buyer wants termite, home warranty, and a bunch of other little things done to the property. Then the approval letter comes back, and the approval letter says you have 90 days to close escrow. This approval letter is good for 90 days, and the lien holder is not paying for the home warranty, termite. As a matter of fact, they're not paying any buyer's closing costs either. What do we do?
What do we do?
Are you asking me? Do you want me to just keep rolling on this? I'm
you're
on this. Okay, because I'm fired up about it because it happens a lot. It happens a lot.
It does happen a lot. But one thing as a clarification there, what if, in that contract, what if they don't put a number of days to close? What if they actually put a firm date in there?
Okay.
What happens then? How does that apply? Like, for instance, what if someone said right now, I want to close this short sale by August 31st?
And we get the approval today.
And we get the approval today.
And the approval letter says we have till October 31st.
Exactly.
We have to close by August 31st. That's what the contract says.
That's what the contract says.
That's how it works.
That's how it works.
Now
I'm just repeating everything you're saying.
I know, it's awesome. This is great. Oh, I got a parrot in here or something. No, that's more of a crow.
So then if you're writing an offer on a short sale property, are you going to put an actual date in, or are you going to use number of days?
Well, for my buyers, I don't put in a date. I put in the actual number of days that we feel comfortable it's going to take us to close that escrow once we get the approval.
Well, because that really comes back to the essence of it here. Yeah. I mean, because what's happening is, as a buyer's agent, you've got a duty to protect those buyers. And if you put a date in there, regardless of how long that approval letter is good for, the approval letter is approving the terms of the contract and says it must be completed by such a time. It's not superseding the contract.
No, and it's approving the seller.
Correct.
Allowing them to sell the property for this amount of money under these terms for this period of time.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So it's really important in there that you don't put your buyers in a situation that they and or their lender cannot perform in. All right. So we always recommend.
We already did a video on that.
Yeah. We always recommend in that situation that you put in a set number of days. Now again, as we've talked about before, and it can get a little bit confusing, I've got an offer here. Actually, you know what? I never answered your question. Well, we never answered your question. So you get an approval letter, and it's removing closing costs, it's removing termite, it's removing a home warranty. What happens then? I mean, if the buyer wants it, it's plain and simple. The buyer has to pay for that.
Absolutely. The seller, since the short sale addendum here in California basically states that everything is contingent upon the bank's approval, the bank dictates the terms. And we have this happen quite often where the offer comes in, they want all these things. Now, I'm not going to speak for every agent out there, but I know myself and you, we actually have addendums that we send back before it goes off to the bank. Right. That simply states the seller's not participating in any, they're not contributing any funds toward buyer's costs. Buyer may be responsible for their own home warranty or any other cost that is not approved by the bank. So we make it real clear to the buyer that whatever the bank approves, that's what you're going to get. But a lot of times you got the buyer's agent that is telling their buyer, oh, that's not really true. When the approval letter comes in, that doesn't matter. That's just terms, and our terms are different. So that they flip-flop back and forth. The bottom line is this. The approval letter is going to give you the terms and timeline that the home is approved to sell for. Not necessarily just the buyer.
Right.
Okay, and it's not approving any of the buyer's stuff. Okay, so if it's not approving back HOA dues, someone's going to have to pay the back HOA dues. If it's not approving a termite inspection or some type of pest inspection, the buyer or somebody's going to have to pay for that. The bank is not paying for it. If you're a listing agent and you've put an addendum together that states that the seller, and put their name in there, will not contribute any funds towards buyer's cost inspections or any other things that they ask for, you have now protected your seller.
Right, absolutely. And it's really important to realize that. And from both sides, whether you're listing a property or whether you're selling a property, you're the selling agent, buyer representing the buyer. In both situations, we highly recommend, highly deal with these issues up front. Do not wait until the point when an approval letter comes in, you go, you know what, that extra money in closing costs was a make or break, and you know what, my buyers aren't going to buy this house if they're not getting a home warranty.
Right.
Deal with it all up front. In most cases, the bank don't pay it.
Right.
Very, very few have I seen it actually go through.
Closing costs are one thing.
Closing costs.
They'll consider it if it's a VA or FHA loan. You got a conventional loan, you put down 20%. More times than not, the bank's going to say pound sand. You already got the 20%. Why should we give up more of our money that we're trying to recoup?
Exactly.
Okay, VA, FHA. One last thing. If there is a short sale that's truly approved, a half approved short sale or a co-op short sale from one of the lenders, or a short sale that was approved but the buyer could not perform and walked away, there still has to go through a reapproval period. They have to make sure that...
Well, exactly, because again, that approval may have come in and you may have had a date that's closing.
Right.
The terms are good through a certain date, and enough time has passed where your new offer comes in. Even if you match those terms exactly, you're not going to be able to close, and you're not going to be able to close by the date that's given. I don't want to make this sound confusing.
No, I understand.
But some of the prorations are going to change on,
that's right,
on taxes, on other fees and things like that. And the bank are going to need an update, and they're going to have to reissue a new approval letter.
Yeah, so timelines are this. The timelines are in regards to close of escrow, according to the contract. So if you're a buyer or a buyer's agent, you wrote in 30 days. 30 days from the approved date is when you have to close escrow. It doesn't matter what the date is on the approval letter. The terms in which the buyer's going to get these extra concessions are dictated in the approval letter, not in the contract.
Correct.
So if the bank is allowing for a termite inspection or pest inspection, and they're allowing for closing costs to be paid for in a home warranty, it will state very clearly in the approval letter and in the final HUD. But more times than not, they're not. So just get this straight. The purchase agreement dictates how many days it's going to take for you to close, and you have to stick to that, period, as a buyer. The concessions is dictated according to the approval letter. It's that simple. There's no gray area.
That's it.
All right?
And it gets confused all the time.
Do you have any questions on that?
I don't have any questions on that. Right. I absolutely understand it, but I know many of you are probably going to have some questions on that. It is a confusing topic. We would be more than happy to answer those questions for you. Just find us online, www.s2neg.com, and we'd be happy to answer those, get your feedback, get your comments. Anything else you want to tell us?
Yeah, I like it. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.